Can you guys hear me? Thank you, DJ. Thank you. Can you guys hear me? Okay, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Guys, listen, if you hear my twang, you know that you can tell that I'm a Nigerian man, right? Nigeria, we are extremely loud people. I want you to give me the same energy. Scream at me, yell at me. Let's do that again. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Great. Thank you very much. Terry, thank you very much for that beautiful introduction. I want to say thank you to Judy, not just for inviting me to speak, but for writing that profile, Judy. Where's Judy? So I'm going to use that going forward everywhere I go. Judy, thank you very much. I love you. Okay, so disclaimer, Terry. I prepared this presentation for a 1-hour masterclass. Now I realize I've only got 45 minutes. So I'm going to give you a punchy, quick 45 minutes masterclass on digital strategy and cybersecurity. But let's connect. Today we're talking about security strategy and engagement. I want you to connect with me. I want you to engage with me. But I don't want that engagement to end in this room. I want you to go online, pick out your phone, iPad, laptop, whatever it is you have. Here are all my usernames: Twitter, X, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. If you hear something useful, make a video, take a picture, post it, tag me, and use the hashtag Disruptive Leadership. I'm going to give a gift to the most engaged person in this session, right at the end of the session. So what is digital leadership? In my professional opinion, digital leadership is the ability of a user to utilize an organization's digital assets, resources, towards achieving the strategic objectives of that organization. Why is digital leadership important? It is essential to understand digital leadership in order to drive value creation for your people. We have heard many people talk repeatedly about creating value for people. This is why, as a leader, you must have a strong understanding of digital tools, platforms, resources, and strategies to drive the business forward. Okay, I'm obsessed with data, so throughout this session, you'd hear me talk a lot about data. All of this data you can find online, so I'm not going to dwell on it so much. I'm going to focus on a few aspects of it. I want you to take a look at the second button there, where it tells you about the number of people around the world that have access to mobile devices. 105% of the world's population have access to mobile devices. Very important statistic. If you look at internet adoption in the Caribbean, 68.4% of Caribbean islanders have good internet. Let's look at, this isn't working, sir. Okay, social media users, 50% of your population are active social media users. What does that mean? They check their social media accounts at least once per day. 84% of Caribbean regions have good mobile connectivity, better than African regions. Now, again, look here. Let's bring it out to Trinidad and Tobago, because we are in Trinidad and Tobago. Trinidad and Tobago, you got 125% mobile coverage. It means each person here has a mobile phone or 2 mobile phones. I have 4. I don't know about you guys. 79% of your population also have access to the internet. And most importantly, 65% are active social media users. 65% of Trinidad's population are active social media users. There isn't a TV station or a radio station in Trinidad or newspaper that can guarantee you access to 65% of the population. Does anybody disagree with that? Guys, we talked about engagement. Okay. So the statistic I want you guys to look at is the last one here. The share of social media users that access the internet via their mobile devices. 99% of 65% of your population use their mobile devices to access the internet. This is an extremely useful statistic. Then finally, we want to look at the share of web traffic by device type. Again, mobile wins again here. You realize that 55.8% of your population use their mobile devices to access the internet. As a leader, what do you think this means? Why is this significant? Can anybody tell me? Okay, it is significant because you must prioritize your innovation and your digital strategy on mobile first. Remember, we talked about data. Somebody asked a question yesterday, and they said, how do you dictate in the Caribbean regions? The way I deal with dictators in the Caribbean region is show them data. You can argue with me about my ideas and my strategy, but you cannot argue about data. So if I was making a petition to my decision maker to innovate on mobile, I would show them this statistic. So if we were to innovate today, if I was building a bank or a credit union, I wouldn't build a building. I'd rather innovate on mobile mobile banking app so the customers and the consumers can do everything on their mobile devices. Okay, so moving on. What are the pillars of digital? Strategy, security, engagement, and technology. As a digital leader, you must be able to create innovative strategies that help the business achieve its core objectives. You must understand technology and innovation. What tools do we use? What platforms do we use? Are we building a platform, or are we simply innovating on social media platforms? Then finally, you've built this amazing platform. You're engaging with your consumers using technology. How do you then safeguard these consumers so that their details, like what is happening in Trinidad currently? Okay, how do we then go towards developing a digital strategy? The first one is to have a clear vision as a leader. A lot of speakers have talked about vision. I heard Mr. So talk about it, Mr. Ali talk about it, and I think Dana spoke about it yesterday as well. And that's the best part of this conference. You can see all the speakers' ideas are converging, and they're talking about the same things in one shape or form. You must have clear objectives, smart objectives, right? Specific, measurable, actionable, relevant, and timely to your organization. You must also understand digital tools. What exactly are we using to create this strategy or drive value for our customers? Then you must have an implementation plan. You must have a roadmap. This is where many businesses in the Caribbean fail because they want it and they want it right now. There isn't a clear roadmap to say, in 3 months' time, we're going to do social media. In 6 months' time, we're going to build an app. In 12 months' time, we're going to build a website. Rather, people just want everything to happen right now. So as a leader, as a digital leader, you must have a clear roadmap for innovation in your respective organization. Okay, so what are the key focus areas for digital strategy? Customer experience. You want to improve the customer experience of your members or your consumers. You also want to create a lot of value for them. So think about this. An example of customer experience is you receive enormous amounts of calls. Your customers stay on the phone for so long because they want to get information from the business. Find that the information people ask for, they're pretty much the same thing most of the time. So why not innovate? Use AI, implement a chatbot, customer service chatbot to answer most of those questions. Then look at operational efficiency. Mr. Ian that spoke just now talked about productivity, how every leader is focused on productivity. Digital strategy can help you improve your productivity tremendously by making things a lot more easier and simpler. Then business model innovation. Change your business model. You want to add a new subscription product to what you offer, or you simply want to switch from product-based business to a platform business model. Then sustainability and social responsibility. Technology makes it easy for businesses to be sustainable. It makes it easier for businesses to hit net zero and a bunch of all their climate targets. Finally, you must focus on mobile first. Like I showed the data earlier on, the data states that people use mobile devices in Trinidad and Tobago and in the Caribbean regions above everything else. Why do you need a mobile first approach? Now, we know everything that's happened in Trinidad and Tobago. I can guarantee you, if a lot of those platforms were built and heavily built on mobile, they would have been a lot more secure than what you have. For example, my details are compromised at TSTT, and somebody steals my credit details, they shouldn't be able to spend my credit card. Nowadays, having my credit card number and the PIN and all of those, the attacker shouldn't be able to spend or use those credit cards. Why? Because the organization must innovate on mobile to make sure that before you do a transaction, the user has to confirm that it is who they are by turning on their mobile phone, entering their fingerprint, doing a retina face scan before they can approve that transaction. So these are the reasons why mobile tools or mobile devices are the best platforms to innovate. They are secure by default. They come with biometric authentication. You have fingerprints on your mobile phone. You have facial scan. Mobile devices have location-based services. So as a bank or a business, I know where my customers are all the time. I can deliver personalized services to them. Right? Mobile phones also come with the internet apps. People understand mobile phones. Everybody has a mobile phone in this room. You must have an iOS or Android phone. Therefore, these are platforms that people are accustomed to. People use these platforms effectively on a daily basis. Right. You can't talk about digital strategy without talking about digital transformation. Usually, my slide would say digital transformation and disruption, but my good Ms. Seval-Jos, right, made a good presentation yesterday about disruption. So today, I'm going to talk about digital transformation and innovation. Before you embark on digital transformation, you must understand 5 key things. Digital transformation is always about creating value for your customers or your end users, whoever is using the product, or your employees as well, for that matter. So it involves utilizing these 5 key domains: understanding your customer, working with other businesses, utilizing data from social media, search engines, digital platforms, other dynamic data sources, or your own data. Like I showed you guys earlier, I have utilized data that I've found about consumer behaviors in Trinidad and Tobago to then advise my board that you must prioritize innovation on mobile. That is what digital transformation is about. Then you must innovate to drive that value creation for people. We had a gentleman this morning talk about creating value for people, prioritizing people. Digital transformation, digital strategy is about creating value for people. When you focus on people value, you focus on societal value creation, then the business value follows automatically. So who are your customers? Just like every one of us here, your customer is a hyper-connected consumer. What does that mean? It means that your customer is always connected to something at every point in time. All of you guys in this room are connected to something. You're on your mobile phone, you're on Instagram, you're on WhatsApp, you're on Twitter. As a business, understanding that is very important towards creating a digital strategy, because you must then ensure that your business is relevant to all of these networks that your consumers use. If you realize your customers are WhatsApp users, innovate on WhatsApp. If they are Facebook users, go on to Facebook. If they're Twitter users, go on to these platforms. Your customers are also informed. They look for, they research, look for digital tools and services online. For as a business, you must also be relevant on these platforms that your customers go to look for your products and services. How do you engage your customers and end users? You must personalize the services you provide to your customers. You must embark on a mobile-first approach. You must deliver an omni-channel experience. So you don't just have a website. You have a website, a mobile app, social media presence. Wherever your customers go, you follow them. You must also be relevant on search engines. You must create user feedback loops. Look for ways to get feedback for your customers. And then one of the most important aspects is building digital communities. You must build communities to educate your customers and foster relationships with them. Then create educational content. You can just screenshot the screen. You've got the idea. I've talked about data, so I'm not going to spend time on this. Nowadays, businesses don't plan for data. You don't carry out extensive market surveys. You just go online and capture the data. The data is readily available online. All of the data I've shared with you guys today, it took me about less than 10 minutes to pull out this data. And these are actionable, reliable data that businesses, global businesses, have invested a lot of money in capturing this data. Therefore, every business here can tap into this data and use it to make informed decision making. The gentleman earlier talked about industrial revolution. You can't talk about digital strategy in 2023 without understanding the 4th industrial revolution. I'm not going to talk about first, second, and third. You all are very familiar with it. But the 4th industrial revolution is a key aspect of digital strategy nowadays. The 4th industrial revolution is the convergence of the physical, the biological, and digital channels. It brings all of these features together towards creating value for people. An example of this is the electric vehicle. It drives itself, right? It uses aspects of what we call the Internet of Things. It's connected to the Internet. There are biometric elements to it, there are physical elements to it, and there are digital elements to it. So as a digital leader in this day and age, you must start thinking, how do we tap into the 4th industrial revolution in terms of what we're doing? When you think about cybersecurity, the most secure systems are those systems that tap into the physical, the biological, and digital. These are the most secure systems. So before you carry out a transaction, you must confirm and authenticate yourself using a bunch of means. Here's some information about revolution. Take a picture of it. The key aspect you have to understand is that it utilizes physical, biological, and digital assets to create value for people. Right, so let's talk about some emerging technologies. A lot of the leaders here have talked about a bunch of these. I'm not going to dwell on it. If you don't know what artificial intelligence is, you're in the wrong room, or you haven't been listening the last couple of days. So get your bag and walk out. I'm not going to explain that. All right, so we have blockchain and smart contracts. You might know blockchain as, in the simplest form, as cryptocurrency. But there are other aspects of blockchain that make them extremely useful for businesses. This is called smart contracts. I do not have the time to explain this in detail. Go on Google and Google smart smart contracts are, it could really drive change in your business and bring a lot of transparency. Then there's the Internet of Things. You have smart homes, you have smart cars, your fridge can now send you an email, your dishwasher can talk to you. I can be here in London and I can be in Trinidad and turn off the lights in my house in London. That's as a result of the Internet of Things. Then we have virtual and augmented reality, which has created what we call the metaverse, which in my opinion is the next phase of the internet. And I'm going to show you guys briefly. Finally, we have voice technology. Voice technology is changing the game. There's a lot of investment in this technology right now. Like I said, the metaverse is the next phase of the internet. I do not have time to explain this in more detail. Go on Google and just search the metaverse. You're going to get a lot of hits content about this. However, I'm going to share a short clip, a short video, so you can get a better understanding of what the metaverse is.
Don't know what the metaverse is? That's okay. I'm not sure anyone really does. But Meta, formerly known as Facebook, Microsoft, and more, are defining it as the virtual world that is the next phase of the internet. In this world, we have digital versions of ourselves, or avatars.
And we call this the metaverse. And you're going to be able to do almost anything you can imagine. Get together with friends and family, work, learn, play, shop.
What you're seeing today is a successful eye surgery. And this, the dedicated hours of virtual training that made it happen. Academic advancements are being achieved every day through collaborative hands-on learning. Upskilling careers, now made possible through immersive environments. Crucial engine maintenance, perfected in simulated training settings. Coming back from an injury with training designed to sharpen skills and improve performance. These are the ways the metaverse is being used every day, today.
Okay, now in the most simplest term, how can you as a little bit small business, how utilize the metaverse? Watch this.
Aaron, I'm Joanna. Nice to meet you.
Hi. Thanks for coming.
The idea is that instead of Zoom, you chat as avatars. My first meeting was in an app called Spatial, and of course, it required a different avatar. Yes, that's my actual face on a floating torso. I met up with the co-founder of Spatial, Anand Agarwala, in an NFT art gallery with works from Ken Kelleher, aka Anchorball, on display.
This is a great stop because it turns out I'm in an NFT art gallery.
Okay, due to time, I want you to watch the rest of this video by scanning that QR code. If you scan that QR code, it will take you to a website where you can watch the whole of that video. Now, the point I'm trying to make is this might seem like a joke to you, but this is where the world is going. Very soon, meetings anymore, you have virtual reality meetings where you're there, you feel like you're in a room with everybody else and using avatars like what we've just seen. Okay, moving forward. How can businesses tap into the metaverse? Small businesses could use it to showcase their shops to people internationally. Large businesses and government agencies could use it for tourism, real estate, virtual tours, etc., etc. The possibilities are endless. You're limited by your thinking and by what you want to achieve. Artificial intelligence, I'm going to skip this slide because we've talked about this subject many times. I heard somebody ask a question yesterday. I think a lot of what we've spoken about over the last 2 days, some of you guys have heard it, but how do you get started? I'll give you practical instances of applications of artificial intelligence you could leave this session and implement right away. Bit is customer services. You have a lot of queries, you have a lot of people on the phone, build a chatbot for them to answer a lot of their queries. Decision making using machine learning. Are you a bank or a credit union? You want to process loans, you want to see people's credit worthiness, implement an AI automatically determine a customer's risk appetite or a customer's ability to repay a loan. Then look at revenue analysis. There are plenty of tools out there today that you could actually go input your profit and loss from 3-4 years. It would predict your future revenue as a business. There are plenty of tools that can do that for you. Fraud detection, security, I've talked about it. Best implementation of AI. Sorry, this is breaking, guys. The simple implementation of AI is for biometric authentication. So you're concerned about security. Get people to log into your platform using their fingerprints. Get people to log onto your platform using their facial ID. way you know transaction is on, it must be the user because they've authenticated themselves using their biometrics, something that only them know or have. Finally, account management. You could use AI to manage your accounts effectively. And then marketing automation. Just like I showed you guys the data, AI can utilize a lot of this data to personalize content and reach your market. The first bit I want to talk about in terms of digital transformation is value creation. How do you create value for people? The way to create value for people is make it easy as possible for them to gain access to your products and services. Thank you. So if you think about that, I love credit unions. I do a lot of work with them. If you think about that as a credit union, it means that you want to give them ease of access to your platform or an insurance company. I want people to buy insurance on the mobile app or on the website without having to speak to a member of staff. How do we then start implementing our digital strategies? There are two types of implementation. I call one the soft implementation and the hard implementation. Soft implementation, you're implementing on existing platforms. So you're implementing digital strategies on social media, Facebook, your existing mobile apps, the likes of it. With the hard implementation, you've got things like Internet of Things, you've got a lot of physical devices, robotics, AI, point of sale systems, deposit systems, and the likes of it. When you leave this session today, I want all of you to focus on soft implementation because these platforms exist, these tools exist. You can start building upon them literally from tomorrow. Okay. So how do we actually approach our digital transformation? It is always about thinking about people. Digital transformation is always about people. What do our customers want? Who are our customers? What do we offer? So we think about people first, not the technology. A lot of people are obsessed with AI. So they talk to you and they say, we want to build an AI stuff. To do what? What do you want the AI to do for you? So you must first understand what your customers want. Then you start thinking about how to innovate to give them exactly what they want. You got to identify your clear objectives. You got to explore your existing capabilities and technologies. Then compare the existing state to your desired state, and then fix the gaps in between. So a bank, their customers want good service, reliable service, convenient service. They want cheap loans. And the bank objective is to create a reliable and convenient way for them to obtain cheap loans. They have web applications, but now they need to prioritize mobile because we know that their customers are going to access their products and services using a mobile device first. I'm going to give you practical examples now. This is a case study for a project we did for a higher institution in Trinidad. Their mission, their long-term vision is to be the #1 provider of internationally recognized education in Trinidad. What are their core objectives? Brand awareness, and they wanted to build a platform to allow other people sell courses on their website. What did we do as the SMART objective to achieve their broad organizational goals and long-term vision? We optimized their website for search engines. We built an e-learning platform for them that allowed other institutions to upload courses and sell to other people. We created videos that showcase this institution as the best institution in Trinidad and Tobago. Between you and I don't think they are. But we made them look as though they are because of digital strategy and digital platforms. Please don't tell anybody I said that. So we then created performance-driven KPIs that we could use to monitor the effectiveness of our strategy. How many people liked the post? How many people shared the content? How many people visited the website? How many people signed up to their courses? We gave this organization at least a 1,000% return on investment. Just think about that, just via Facebook and Instagram. Every $100 they spent, they made $1,000, and this is in US. So we gave them 1,000 return on, I thought you guys would clap at that. What's going on? Right, so the next case study is for an insurance company. Is there an insurance company here? Who's the biggest insurance company in Trinidad? Tatil? Sagicor? Caribbean Alliance? Okay, so I guess Guardian then. Right, so Guardian, imagine you offer car insurance. You're trying to innovate to drive value for your customers. How do you do that? I would come to your CEO, I wish he was still here, I would say, build a mobile app that monitors how people drive. Let your app monitor how I drive, and if I drive well and you get a 100% score at the end of the year, give me 25% rebate on my insurance premium. Immediately, you're seeing value. You're creating value for your customers because they can see that by installing this simple mobile app, I can save 25% every year. And that can be a huge marketing advantage and advertising strategy for your insurance company. You can thank me later for that. Right, okay, so then you create a social media campaign called the Drive and Save campaign. Drive well and save money. You're creating people value. And another thing you're doing, you're creating societal value because the more people drive well, the less accidents you have on the roads. Everything is, do you guys follow me? Are you following me? Right, so one more thing, right? One more thing. I had Ian say something as well about the insurance premiums that you pay. You paid 1.6 billion in insurance premium. This mobile app, right, will tell you if the driver was at fault for that particular accident. So you can now say, we can't pay you because you were at fault for that particular accident. These are all the values that the app creates. So remember, we said, focus on people value, societal value, then you get business value. In this instance, I've created an app for people that makes them drive well. It creates societal value, less accident. And then it creates business value because we pay less in claims and compensation. Are you guys following me? This is digital strategy, how you can go from visions, objectives, to actual activities that you undertake on digital platforms to achieve the broad organizational goals. Okay, tell your CEO I have 500 pounds a day for this advice. Commission, yeah. All right, so we can do this over and over again. There's a credit union in Trinidad and Tobago. There's also a Caribbean rum maker. I know there's one of them in here. How do you digitize a rum business? Simple. Create a platform that allows your customers to create their own recipes. Upload it on social media, tag people onto it, then pick one or two of these recipes, create a bottle for them, and sell it on your website. You're creating a platform where you're allowing your customers to engage with you as a brand, and you're turning a bottle of rum into a platform business or a platform product. I wish I had more time. I would have run you guys through platform business models, but that's for next conference. Would you like me to do this for your organization? Guys, come on. Would you like to do this for your organization? Anybody? Okay, if you want us to do this for your organization, I can give you a free strategy session next week, Wednesday, for the most engaged participant in this room. Like I said, tweet at me, post, tag me. If you do that, I will give you a free strategy session, and we'll look at how we can create strategies for your organization using this model I've just shared. Okay, we'll go to cybersecurity very quickly. Who hasn't heard what's happened in Trinidad recently? Who doesn't know what TSTT? I didn't know who TSTT was until about a week ago. Right? I didn't know what TSTT was until about a week ago. Right. So I'm going to share some data and statistics with you. 92%, the most common cyber attack right now is malware and ransomware. Right? That's the most prevalent attack right now. Now, look at these statistics. 92% of these attacks were delivered via email. It takes 49 days on average for you to notice that there's been a breach in your system. In fact, if you find out within 49 days, you've done very well. A lot of businesses don't know until 3-6 months later that they've been victims of cyber attacks. 58% of organizations consider their risk exposure to be really high. 71% of IT experts believe remote work has made this even worse. 4.1 million websites have malware at any given time. Your website, all of you sitting down here, your website probably has a malware and you don't know about it. 3,000 new malware applications are created every single day. And as of today, healthcare is the #1 target of ransomware attacks all around the world. 58% of organizations consider, I've said that. The global cybersecurity spending so far is around $23 billion this year alone, just in 2023. 73% of leaders find that privacy regulations reduce cyber risk. And do you know the problem we have in Trinidad and Tobago or most Caribbean regions? We don't have good privacy laws or data protection laws like the GDPR in Europe and the likes of the US institutions. Therefore, if we can lobby our governments to create comprehensive data protection policies, it's the starting point to deal with the issues that we have. If you have policies that organizations must comply with, they will ensure they are cyber secure before you give them license to trade or do whatever it is they want to do.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us on this
So I'm going to
Thursday
share a
night.
video.
We begin tonight with a significant cyber attack taking place across the nation and around the world. Federal agencies, state governments, and major universities have been hit with a campaign of data theft and ransomware.
This is probably the most significant ransomware attack on one of our critical infrastructures ever.
Colonial Pipeline is the operator of the largest pipeline carrying fuel from the Gulf Coast to the Northeast. It was hit with a ransomware attack.
Last month, hackers took our gasoline hostage. Now they're attacking our meat supply.
JBS says units in Australia and North America were hit over the weekend by what the company is calling an organized cyber attack on its information system.
The U.S. recently faced a series of ransomware attacks, and they aren't showing signs of slowing down anytime soon.
Although ransomware has really been around since 2013, it has not yet been seriously taken in terms of something that could impact critical infrastructure such as the pipeline.
Ransomware, a program that hackers use to hold digital information hostage, has become the top choice of malware for criminals.
The Ministry of Digital Transformation has confirmed that a cyber attack was detected on the Office of the Attorney General and Ministry of Legal Affairs network. In a statement this afternoon, the ministry said this unauthorized and illegal access has negatively impacted operations at the AGLA and certain associated divisions. It said action has been taken to minimize the threat, and an investigation is being conducted with the leading industry cybersecurity experts. As a result of the cyber attack, some services that are usually provided are temporarily unavailable.
Thousands of charity donors have had their personal details leaked in a cybersecurity breach. Brisbane telemarketing agency Pareto Phone, which collects donations for organisations like Canteen, Fred Hollows and the Cancer Council, had data stolen in April. The hackers published some information earlier this month. Pareto's CEO has apologised and says the company is working with forensic specialists, and the National Cybersecurity Coordinator has been briefed.
This is less than 1% of the petabytes of data the company produces and stores was accessed by a ransomware group. The company also says that some of the data was accessed from a legacy system which is no longer utilized by TSTT, but which contains data that is in many instances no longer valid. Stressing that no customer passwords or credentials were accessed, TSTT says due to the nature of the data accessed, security analysts have advised that there is no elevated risk of fraudulent activity for the group of customers impacted.
That is a lie. Okay, so I'm going to stop this video here. If you want to watch the rest of the video, please scan this QR code. You can catch the rest of it. Now, that is an example of a horrible way to deal with a cyber attack. How do you come and say they've stolen 1% of your client data, and in this 1% of data, it has my name, my email, my telephone number, my ID card, my address, and you're saying nothing else is going to happen? It's not. How are you so sure of that? Right? When you open a bank account, you give them your name, your date of birth, your telephone number, your email. These are your security details. Therefore, if I compromise these details, I could call your bank, impersonate you, and change details on your bank. So why are TSTT saying there are no further damages or fallouts as a result of this? It's a good thing the CEO was fired, because that is not strategic digital leadership. That's not a visionary leader to come out and give those types of press releases. Okay. What are the leadership strategies for cyber resilience? We have sensationalized the cyber threats or cyber security issues. How do we protect ourselves? You must have a proactive cyber security culture. One where you don't blame your employees for falling victims, but one where you train them. Everybody needs to understand what cybersecurity is. The reason why we have these issues, if we investigate, you find out that 90% of all cyber attacks, 90% are as a result of human error. So how do you think we can solve that problem? We're all smart people. If I tell you 90% of a problem is as a result of ignorance, how do you solve that problem? You train people. You teach people. What organizations do is they train their staff every 5 years or every 3 years. You need to run cybersecurity training with your organization and your team every year, sometimes twice a year. Why? I just showed you guys a statistic that 300 new malware are created every single day. Therefore, the training you gave to your employees last month is now irrelevant, because there are new threats that your employees did not know about. This is why you must establish a culture of proactive cybersecurity training and human capital development. You must invest in cybersecurity. AI tools, monitoring tools to help you understand what's going on within your network, your infrastructure, and then alert you when there's unusual activity going on. You must have regular audits and compliance. What I find when I work with organizations is this. They have IT departments. The IT manager designs the system. The IT manager builds the system. The IT manager creates the cybersecurity policy. The IT manager implements the policy and trains the team. What do you think is wrong with that? If the IT manager misses something, it is missed across the entire system. Therefore, you need external third-party auditors, not to come in and police the IT managers, but to complement what they've done. It is easier to find faults in other people's work than to find fault errors in your work. Do you agree? So that is why you need third-party auditors consistently to audit your systems every year to make sure that there are no vulnerabilities, or if vulnerabilities are found, they are addressed immediately. So what are the actionable steps for leasers? I'll share more statistics here before we go. $8 trillion is the cost of cyber attacks by the end of 2023. The largest fee paid for ransom was $70 million by a US company. Right? Every 39 seconds, a cyber attack happens around the world. The average cost of a single data breach is $9.4 million. In fact, the monetary cost of a data breach is good because you can get money back. What is difficult to get is the reputational damage that you get as a result of a cyber breach. Who trusts TSTT now? Does anybody trust that organization? Probably for the next 24 months, nobody would trust TSTT with their data. You would only do business with them because you absolutely have to. If there were other options, you wouldn't do business with TSTT. Training and education comes up repeatedly when we think about managing cybersecurity threats. You must have incident response planning. It's no longer if we're going to get hacked, but rather when we're going to get hacked. So every leader here has to prepare to become a victim of a cyber attack. Then you must have incident response plans that you can trigger. You can trigger these incident response plans and take action immediately. If you've got a good cybersecurity audit, you've done your vulnerability assessment, you already know the vulnerabilities in your system. Therefore, you prepare for an attack, and when an attack happens, you recover immediately. Now, you have vendor risk management. So in this instance, TSTT got compromised, but they held data of Republic Bank customers. Therefore, Republic Bank haven't done anything in this whole thing. They're now victims of the cyber attack as well, as a result of a breach on one of their vendors' platforms. Therefore, you must also do thorough assessment of all the vendors that you work with to make sure their platforms are secure, their data is secure before you give them access to your platform. Right, then you must have strategic communication, which is where TSTT have failed woefully, right? Strategic communication, you must communicate your cybersecurity policies, ideas with your team and your organization. Remember, you can create cybersecurity policies. If you do not have policy documents to communicate those policies with the rest of your team don't know what's happening. The cybersecurity policy then rests just with the IT department. But to be fully safe as an organization, you must get all departments involved in your cybersecurity strategy. And everybody in the organization must understand what is going on, what emails not to click on, what to do if they've been compromised, etc., etc., etc. Right, the final bit, one of the steps that you can take is to subscribe to a cybersecurity framework. This is something that we created, Rick's London, we created for Caribbean credit unions, and we have worked one or two of them through this process. We call it the Cyber Resilience Program. It starts with a risk assessment. We look at your entire platform and system and do a vulnerability assessment. We create a risk assessment matrix for you, where we show you, these are the vulnerabilities we found, here are the steps to mitigate those vulnerabilities, and here are the steps to make sure that if an attack does happen, you can recover your data and minimize the effect of a cyber breach. Then you have risk mitigation, and then the final bit is you have the incident response plan that you put into action the minute anything happens. So, here I've got 10 minutes left, or 8 minutes now. So, 5 minutes, oh. Okay, so I'm going to wrap up now. I want to talk about 10 steps to cybersecurity. If we know that the most prevalent cyber attacks are malware and ransomware, and we know that 92% of these come via emails, what do we need to do as an organization? Safeguard our email platforms first. So take a screenshot of this. I will not explain it, but pass this on to your IT managers, or as a digital leader, you must understand these 10 steps towards cybersecurity. Protecting your network, educating users, incident management, multi-factor authentication, and putting policies in place for remote work. Now, what are the steps that you can take, again, to minimize the effect of cyber attacks? Before a cyber attack happens, there are 4 stages of a cyber attack. There's the survey phase, where the attackers are looking for vulnerable organizations to attack. Then there's the delivery stage, where they deliver the attack, maybe via an email or network attack, whatever. And then there's the breach stage, where the attack becomes successful. Then there's the affect stage, which is the aftermath of a successful attack. So at every point of these stages, you can put things in place to minimize the risk or the effect of a cyber breach. Survey stage, educate your users to understand what they can or cannot share online. When I run these workshop sessions with financial institutions, you know what happens? I say, what's the name of your CEO or board member? They give me the name of their board member. I just do, in 5-10 minutes, I will pull out a lot of data about their board member that is readily available online that I can start as my attacking point. During my survey phase, I'm looking for chief financial officers, CEOs. I'm looking at how to get their emails, how to compromise their emails so I can attack them. Training them to understand these processes will help safeguard your organization. And then delivery stage, password policy, use multi-factor authentication, what we call strong customer authentication. Nowadays, having the right password shouldn't give you access to the platform. In addition to having the right password, you should also authenticate yourself using fingerprint, face scan, or one of these tools. And you can only achieve those if you innovate on mobile platforms. Okay, so how do we use multi-layered email control to stop phishing attacks? Imagine that you have 800 malicious emails sent to you, and then you have 1,800 emails sent. 1,750 of them were stopped by a malware because during that delivery stage, you put things in place that stopped that email from getting to people's inboxes. Now, 50 of those emails actually did get to people's inboxes, but 36 emails were ignored by your staff because they understood that these were phishing emails. 25 of those emails were reported by the staff. Hey, guys, I found something suspicious. Then 14 emails were clicked. Out of those 14 emails that were clicked, because you had things in place during the breach stage, they weren't very effective. You had patch management, you had malware protection. So even though the network had been breached, the user still didn't get access to all of the computers. However, one of those members of staff clicked on the software and installed the malware on your platform. This is probably what happened to TSTT. And then he went from there and took over the rest of the platform. Therefore, at the last stage, when one of them installed that piece of software, see what happened. There are incident response plans in place that then isolated that computer from the rest of the network and dealt with that piece of compromise on that computer as a standalone machine rather than being part of your overall network. So as a leader, if you put all of these measures in place, you will still get attacked. You might still fall victim to a cyber attack, but the effects of such attack will not be detrimental to the business. In the case of TSTT, I wish they spoke to me like 6 months ago to put some of these things in place. Everything that happened in the last couple of weeks probably would have been prevented, or it wouldn't have had as much impact as it did. I'm rounding up now, you'll be glad to know. Okay, so how do we develop a cybersecurity strategy? Every strategy should be custom designed and specific to your organization. So look at the assets you have, the people as the human assets, human capital assets that you have, look at the systems that you have, look at your processes, and then you do a thorough analysis and an audit to figure out which one of these are the most vulnerable assets, and then you design your strategy to safeguard those assets. So you must understand that risk is critical to business operations. As a business, you must accept some risks in order to trade effectively. Therefore, risk is a good thing. Managing the risk that are involved with your business is where most Caribbean businesses or Caribbean leaders fail. You must integrate your strategy across the department as well. I've talked about that before. You must deter threats on the inside. There are also a lot of insider threats. Sometimes your engineers, like I said, your engineers and your IT managers, they build the system, but then they leave what we call a backdoor, so they can come back and compromise the system. So you got to make sure that you don't have any of those on your platform as well. Finally, we've got to plan for breaches ahead of time. This is extremely important. We must plan for breaches ahead of time. When we do that, we then start creating risk management governance frameworks. We start engaging our boards to understand what our frameworks are and what our policies are. And then we produce supporting documents to to kind of officially put the policies and cybersecurity strategies we've created in black and white, so everybody understands it. Finally, I will talk about something that we call security by design. This was championed by the Bank of England and the Financial Conduct Authority of England. Security by design is a very simple concept. It says to give a customer access to a platform, then the customer must authenticate themselves with something that they know, something that they are, and something that they have. How does this work? I sign up to your banking platform, I sign up to your insurance product, you give me a username and a password. When I log into that product, the product should then do an additional step of authentication, which will then say, I will send a text to your phone. I'll send a text to your email. Confirm this text. Once you do that, then there's a final layer that will then say, okay, use something that you are to authenticate yourself, which could be scanning your face, tapping your fingerprint, so that we know that you are exactly who you say you are. If you follow this strong authentication process, chances are you will not get hacked. If you do get hacked, the effects of that hack would be minimalized. For example, if Republic Bank had this, you could have 100 of their customer cards. You will not be able to spend it because you would need to authenticate yourself with your fingerprint or your face scan before you can spend that card. So I have a lot to share, but I have to bring it to a close here. We do have, check out our website, look for rix.io, and you can see a lot of other stuff that we're doing. We have cybersecurity programs that you could actually sign up your teams to and learn more about the cybersecurity. I wish I had more time to talk, but we can pick up the conversation during the panel discussions. Thank you guys for your time. Thank you very much.
That was like power-packed. I don't know about you, but to be able to digest something as much as digital strategy, brand awareness, all the way down to cybersecurity, he made that look pretty effortless, pretty easy, but I promise you it wasn't. Do you have any questions? I will take at least 2 questions. Any questions for Christian while he is here? Okay, we have a question over here. And you cannot ask for his suit?
Hi, Christian. What is being done to stop these attackers? I understand the proactive approach from organizations to avoid, but is there anything being done to stop these attackers? Thank you.
Okay, actually there's a lot being done to stop the attackers. For example, when these attacks happen, they collect the ransom via cryptocurrencies. So recently, the US government were able to bust one hacking group. Usually when you get payment via cryptocurrency, it's fully anonymous. So for some reason, the US government looked for a way to bust that. So they were able to figure out this payment made to this cryptocurrency belonged to this hacking group. So there's a lot being done, but the problem here is a lot of investment into artificial intelligence, network monitoring to spot out all of these types of attacks. But the problem is the hackers and the attackers are always one step ahead. So businesses are always playing catch up. So if you have a software application, the hackers they invest a lot of time hitting your software to look for vulnerabilities. These hackers also use AI tools that we're using to safeguard ourselves. Therefore, regardless of what's happening, the way that businesses are iterating to deal with the problem, the hackers are also iterating to come up with new malware and malicious attacks. Therefore, a lot is being done. It might seem like a lot is not being done. Well, let me rephrase that. A lot is being done outside of Trinidad and Tobago. It might look like a lot isn't being done, but a lot is being done. And in Europe as well, we created the GDPR, data protection policy that required organizations to follow certain measures, and that's where strong customer authentication came from. So one of the things that the Caribbean regions can do, the governments, they need to implement comprehensive data protection policies. The way that the starting point is to compel businesses, do not use legacy systems above XYZ age, and make them have to follow certain processes and procedures. I think that's what your government can do from a policy standpoint. And then every business just needs to be proactive. There isn't a global solution to deal with cyber. It's just like terrorism. A lot has been done to combat terrorism, but there's terrorism everywhere today. Cyber attacks or cybersecurity issues are now equivalent to terrorism. The US government is giving it the same attention as terrorism. If the people that created the internet are scared of this and giving it the same attention, then hey, what do we do? So I don't know if that answers your question at all.
Thank you so very much. Any other question? Do you have a question, my dear? Do you have a comment? Sure, go right ahead. And this will be the final.
Thank you so much for all of the data, the statistics that you have provided. What I wanted to say is in the beginning of the presentation, you looked at the customer, and in insurance, I'm in the insurance industry, what we also need to focus on is not just the customer, but our partners. Because I have a lot of partners, different companies that I have to work with that either save me money or help me make trying to make the flow to the customer much easier. And one of the things that we need to develop as a company in order to keep those partner relationships is tools and strategies to make it easier for them to partner with us. So it's not just the customer, but establishing a digital ecosystem for your organization.
Correct. And he actually mentioned the third party. Go ahead.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. You see, when we talked about digital transformation, there are 5 main domains: customer, competition, data, innovation, and value. So what you've just discussed, it falls in that competition bracket where you're working with asymmetric competitors or agents to drive that value. So innovating just for your agents is also a project that your insurance organization can embark on. So thanks for that contribution as well.
All right, thank you so very much. Another round of applause for Christian Jr., the very dapper gentleman. These are my